Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Cablevision Geauga Times Leader CVC Game of the Week. This week, the West Geauga Wolverines take on the Orange Lions in a CVC game here at Howell Field at West Geauga High School in Chesterland, Ohio. I'm Joe Scarola. I'll call the play-by-play along with my colleagues John Walsh and Mick Narouche. And right now, let's turn things over to John Walsh.
Thank you, Joe. The Orange team tonight is looking for their first CVC win. They're 2-3 on the season. 2 of those losses coming in CVC action. They're a heavily pass-oriented team with averaging about 17 passes a game. Have a good little quarterback named Kevin Owen they live off of quite a bit. And their running game is just starting to come together. Defense is a little bit on the weak side. Offensively, they're fairly strong, and they put a lot of points on the board, so they should be coming straight at West Geauga tonight through the air and on the ground. I'll turn it over to Mick Narouche to talk about West Geauga now.
Thanks, John. West Geauga comes into tonight's game with a record of 1-4, and like Orange, they have not won a game yet in league action. In favor of West Geauga tonight, as it is their own homecoming, and it's usually a big event for the whole school plus the football team, because all football teams love to win their homecoming game. I look for West Geauga to come out a lot more fired up tonight and more inspired as what we saw last week against Chagrin. I expect to see a big game out of quarterback Greg Craddock and some very fine running out of John Quinlan and Mike Moore. Defensively, they look very solid. I think they play a very good balanced defense, and I look for them to give Orange a pretty good go tonight. We'll just have to watch and see how the game develops and see which team comes in here with the most intensity and obviously the desire to win. And with that, I'll turn the mic back over to Joe Scarola, who will kind of kick the game off for us.
Meanwhile, let me remind you that if you have a local news tip, call the Geauga Times Leader, 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times Leader, your local paper. Well, we're about ready here to get underway at West Geauga High School. Of course, tonight is homecoming for the West Geauga Wolverines, and usually homecoming is a big day for just about any team, and it should see a pretty inspired effort, I would imagine, from the West Geauga Wolverines, who I'm sure are looking to impress their parents and the hometown fans and girlfriends and whoever else may be interested in this homecoming ball game. So I think it's going to be a real interesting ball game tonight. It's a ball game really that both teams need to win to be in the hunt for the CVC title. It's definitely crunch time for both West Geauga and Orange coming into this ball game. And if either of them have thoughts about winning a conference title this year, winning this game is a must. Of course, we always bring you every week, and remember, on Channel 20, 7 o'clock every Monday night on Channel 20, a CVC Game of the Week, Cablevision and the Geauga Times Leader. And we also will be bringing you, as we said, a game every week through the end of the season involving one of the 4 teams in the Cablevision service area, either West Geauga, Chardon, Chagrin Falls, or Kenston. At least one of those 4 teams will be involved in each and every one of those games. So due to prior contractual agreements, we cannot tell you on a week-by-week basis, we cannot tell you in advance which game we will do. But rest assured that at least one of those teams will be on every Monday night through the end of the season at 7 o'clock right here on Cablevision on Channel 20. So if you want a good kickoff to Monday Night Football, we've got it right here for you. You know, you can bring us in right into the ABC gang, and, you know, we'll get you all warmed up for Monday Night Football, guys. What do you think? Our own version of it, I guess. John, if you have any pregame comments there, you look like you're getting ready to say something.
Was that noticeable, huh, Joe?
Yes, it was.
Well, as Joe mentioned, neither of these teams can afford a loss here. This is it. Their backs are against the wall. You got to have a win, or you're totally out of it. 3 wins is not going to take the CBC. We have 3 undefeated teams right now: Chardon, Chagrin, and Solon. It's going to be down to at least 2 tonight because Solon plays Chagrin. So it's going to be just anybody's race to be an interesting season in CBC. I see we're about ready for the kickoff. So, Joe, you want to do your thing?
That Solon-Chagrin matchup, of course, we'll already know the results by the time we see this game. Should be a very interesting ball game. That's a very, very strong rivalry, 2 traditional rivals. Well, Tom Richards, number 10, will kick off for West Geauga. And let's see who's deep to receive for Orange. It looks like number 88, Bill Duckworth, is down there along with number 27. I think it's number 27 there, and that is Jim Romano. And they are deep to receive the kick from Tom Richards. The high kick is going to come up short, and it will be taken there by number 27, Jim Romano. And Romano gets out over the 30 to about the 32-yard line, where he's tackled by a horde of West G players. It'll be 1st and 10. Actually, it's not at the 30. Excuse me. It's at the 27-yard line of Orange, and that's where the Orange Lions will start their first possession, 1st and 10.
Yeah, it was a good little defensive alignment by West G that time. Kicking a nice high kick, and they just swarmed on it to do a good job. Interesting to see how the Orange offense now can turn a gear and put the big points on the board like they have all through the season so far.
Orange ball, 1st and 10, and rolling to his left is Kevin Owen, the quarterback, and Owen is going all the way down the sideline, and we have a touchdown. That is amazing. And this is the game's first play. Kevin Owen, the quarterback, on the option goes 73 yards, and Orange is on the board.
Well, they didn't let me down. I knew they put points on the board. I just didn't know they did it that quickly. But now West G is going to see the other side of them because their defense is pretty well porous. So I expect a rather high-scoring game for both teams this evening.
Deja vu for the West Geauga Wolverines. Last week they fell behind on the opening kickoff, which was returned for a touchdown. This week they fall behind on the first play from scrimmage, a 73-yard run by Owen. Number 14, Matt Barkett, will attempt the extra point for Orange. Holding is number 29, Brad Emmerman. The ball is down, the kick is up, and it is good. So the 73-yard run by Owen puts Orange on the board. And here in the first quarter, we have 11 minutes and 27 seconds to play. 11:27 to play here in the first quarter. It's Orange 7 and West Geauga nothing.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what kind of a return West Geauga sets up this evening. If I remember correctly, in last week's game when we followed it, they had good little specialty team return teams and all that. So I expect them to put it right back on the Orange.
In fact, John Quinlan put one in for a touchdown that was called back by a penalty. And we'll have to see whether John Quinlan is able to do the same things he did last week. Quinlan is deep, number 24, along with Mike Mazurko. Number 17, also deep, is John Julian, number 30, back in the lineup. Julian was unable to play for the Wolverines last week against Chardon. And kicking off will be Matt Burkett. It's a short squib kick. It's taken down there by Bob Colombo, number 82, 25, 30, 35. Breaks a couple of tackles. Some good hard running by Bob Colombo brings the ball out to the 39-yard line, and that's where West G will have their first possession of the ball game.
Gentlemen, that was a good play on Mr. Colombo's part. He fielded that squib kick. It's important on a squib kick to get your hands on the ball as soon as possible and try and get it down the field. We did a real fine job there. Thus, West Geauga starts with beautiful field position on the 38.
1st and 10 for West G at the 38-yard line. Greg Craddock, the quarterback, gives the ball to Tom Richards, and Richards gets across the 40 out to the 41. Tackled by the middle of the Orange line, led there by number 64, Joe Cohen. A gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
Again, West Geauga plays a power I with a split flanker or end, and he ran that play. Again, it was a tailback delay. Unfortunately, the Orange defense, particularly the right side defensive end, played a real nice play in penetration.
Now we have an official's timeout on the field, and West Geauga Wolverines go back into the huddle. Why we have timeout, we do not know. There was an official's timeout, neither team called one. Now they're getting ready to start the clock again, and West G comes out with a 2nd and 8 at their own 41-yard line. Wide to the right comes Mike Mazurko, and the slot left is John Quinlan. The running backs up in the eye is number 36, Nick Lorenzo, and back is Tom Richards. Rolling to his right is Craddock. Going to run the ball, 40, 45, and he gets out to about midfield, and I believe he has picked up enough for a West Geauga first down. Tackled there by number 79, John Chianchi, and I believe they're going to call for a measurement right here.
Joe, Greg Craddock, he ran that play several times last week against Chardon, and it appears to me it's a run-pass option with a play-action fake. And with Greg's speed, he's very effective at running on the outside if the opponent will give him that outside corner, which happened on that play.
Craddock does have some quickness, and the offensive line gave him an opportunity to turn the corner, and he was able to turn the play into a first down. It's 1st and 10 for West G at the West G 49-yard line. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right comes number 46, Dave Sterlikar. Now Quinlan comes in motion right. Tight end to the left is Matt Blasey, number 13. The ball is given to Richards. And no, it's not Tom Richards, excuse me. Tom Richards was not the ball carrier. It was number 36. Nick Lorenzo carried the ball, a gain of about 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4 at the 44-yard line.
I tell you, Coach Reisland of Orange was very proud of his defense, saying it's the only team in the CBC that plays the 40 split like this, where every other team plays a 5-2 monster. From what I see tonight, he had to switch to 5-2 monster.
2nd and 3, let's call it, at the 44-yard line. Craddock gives the ball again to Lorenzo. He breaks the tackle, and then he's thrown back. In fact, he's thrown back for a loss. Hit at the 45-yard line. Loss of 1. It'll bring up 3rd down and 4, making that fine defensive play there for Orange. Number 79, Joe Chianci, and also number 74, Howie Cleveland. It'll be 3rd and 4.
That play illustrates the strength of the 40 defense that Orange plays, where it plugs up the middle. You have a lot of people around the middle of the field there, so consequently they're a team you go wide against or try the pass just to test out their secondary.
Mazurko comes wide to the left, and the slot right is Quinlan. Now Quinlan comes in motion left. Craddock rolls to his left, dumps it off. It is caught by Julian, 45-40. Breaks the tackle. He's down to the 35-yard line of Orange. He has a 10-yard gain and a West Geauga first down.
That was a nice play by West Geauga. They had the flanker go a deep down and out, was cleared out in the short, flat territory, and Greg Craddock read it real well and hit Mazurko right in the flat there. Julian that was.
Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. In the slot right is Quinlan. Julian left and Lorenzo right in the tee. The give is to Julian, kind of the inside 35, downed at the 34. He's brought down there by number 64, Joe Cohen, and also number 56, Matt Anderson. A gain of 1, let's call it. It'll be 2nd and 9 for West Geauga at the West G 34.
Yeah, again, it's the strength in the middle for the Orange men. Everybody bunches up there to the point of even little counter plays and things like that. Don't send them because you just got too many people congested in the middle of the field. West G will be wise to keep to the air and keep going to the outside.
2nd and 9 at the 34. Wide to the left comes Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Back to throw, Craddock. It is caught by Matt Blasey, the tight end. Blasey inside the 25 to the 24. Thrown down by a horde of Orange Lions, but he has enough for a first down. 1st and 10 West G at the Orange 24-yard line.
Greg Craddock again showed a lot of poise. He rolled out, set up in the pocket real nice, and threw a nice strike to Blasey, who just did a simple curl pattern in between the linebacker and the safety. Just a beautifully executed pass play.
West G ball, 1st and 10. They're at the 24-yard line of Orange. Orange leads at 7-0. We're early in the first quarter. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Quinlan now comes in motion left. Lorenzo up. And back in the eye is John Julian, who gets the pitch. Julian cuts the outside, 25, down to the 20-yard line. He was finally tripped up there by a couple of Orange players, among them number 22, Owen, the man who scored the touchdown, and also number 79, Cohen, or Tianchi, rather.
Joe, Julian showed some real high-stepping there, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a nice run. He didn't have much of a hole, and he turned that into a 4-yard gain through a lot of effort. He showed a lot of good judgment on that play. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Tight to the left is Blasey. In the T formation behind Craddock, Lorenzo to the left, Julian to the right. It's second down. Let's call it 6. Here's the give to Lorenzo. Lorenzo fighting his way down to the 17, possibly the 16-yard line. Stopped there once again by Owen, also number 26, Mylan Johnson. It'll be third down and a short 2 for West G.
Not to berate again, though I seem to be beating it rather badly, the 40 defense of Orange, but that's what they stop is the middle game or something. They're going to have to start shooting some of those linebackers, though, make it a little rougher on Craddock, because I'm just not a proponent of 4-man rush in high school football. You need that 5-man front coming on in.
Now, it looks to me like West G can do pretty much what they want to with this Orange defense. Here's the give to Julian. Julian down inside the 15 to about the 13. He has enough for a West G first down. First and 10 for the West Geauga Wolverines at the Orange 13-yard line.
John, I have to agree with you. With that 40 defense is putting a lot of pressure on the inside linebackers. And tonight, West Geauga's offensive line is really firing off the ball and getting to those linebackers. Thus, they're ineffective. They're 5 yards already down the field, and that's given the West G offense all the time they need to develop good running plays and pass plays.
By the time those backers get there, those runners are running at full steam. They've got all their momentum up, too. Rolling to the right is Craddock. Under heavy pressure, gets away from one man, cuts it down to about the 10-yard line, and he is knocked out of bounds there by number 26, Mylan Johnson. Gain of about 3, let's call it, down to the 10. It'll be second down and 7 for West G at the Orange 10-yard line. If you've just joined us, Orange leads at 7-0 on a 73-yard touchdown run by quarterback Kevin Owen on the first play from scrimmage. We have 5 minutes and 27 seconds to play here in quarter number 1 on homecoming night at Howell Field at West Geauga High School in Chesterland. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Blasey is tight to the right. Lorenzo up, Julian back in the eye. Rolling to his left is Craddock. Turn to the outside, cuts up at about the 5, and fumbles. It is loosened down at the end zone. We'll have to see who has it. I believe Orange has the ball down at the goal line, and they did recover. So a bad break for the West Geauga Wolverines, who had a brilliant drive going. They were moving smartly toward a score. Greg Craddock fumbled down inside the 5-yard line. And Orange, thanks to the turnover, will take over, but they will be in awful field position with the ball literally right on their defensive goal line, first and 10.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it develops to be a bad break for West Geauga. It depends on their defense now. Possibly they can get 2 points, get the ball back in good field position on safety, and actually turn this poor situation into a good one for them.
And by the way, this is a good time to remind you during this timeout here on the field. And as we mentioned, we have a timeout on the field with 5:17 to play here in the first quarter. Start your Sunday morning with a laugh. Read Marilyn Whipkey only in the Geauga Times Leader. For 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for just $12, call 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times Leader, your local newspaper. Now Orange will start with the ball, first and 10, inside their own 1-yard line after the fumble, and it looks like they just barely avoided a safety there, did the Orange Lions, as Owen handed the ball to number 31, Alan Raines, and Raines had to fight his way out of the end zone to avoid a safety.
I'll tell you, I'm turning into the Nostradamus of CBC football, to tell you the truth. I'm coming real close with my prediction here. I'll have to start playing the stock market a little bit, I fear.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. Wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Continue that success rate there.
Yeah, with your money there, Joe.
That's real nice of you, John. Orange ball, second and 10, rather. In fact, they're still inside their own 1-yard line. And give goes up the middle to number 26, Mylan Johnson. Johnson gets out over the 5 to the 6 thrown down there by John Quinlan, and also big number 79, or 78, Mike Patronis. Gain of about 5. It'll be 3rd and 5 from the 6.
Again, like Chardon, Orange seems to be attacking that left side of West Geauga's defense. Again, Mike Patronis in particular, and linebacker Jeff Pitcock. I think that side of West Geauga's defense has a heck of a reputation at this point.
3rd and 5 from the 6-yard line. Owen keeps it again. Across the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and he's knocked out of bounds near midfield. Actually, they'll call him out at the 46-yard line, I believe, of Orange. And that 40-yard gain gives Orange a first down. Kevin Owen, who ran for 73 yards and a touchdown on the game's first play, comes up with a big 40-yard run to give Orange a first down.
I tell you, thus far, Mr. Owens is a very, very impressive running quarterback. We were led to believe in this game that the passing was where he achieved his fame, so we're just going to have to wait and see what all this ends up looking like.
Orange ball, 1st and 10. Wide to the left comes number 82, Chris Paradise. In the slot left is, okay, and then again, here's the give to Raines. Alan Raines gets to the 47. Wrapped up and thrown down there by number 57, Daryl Colura. It'll be 2nd down for Orange at the Orange 47-yard line. And let's call it 9.
Gentlemen, that was an unfortunate play for West Geauga, that big gain there, because they were doing their job. They had Orange stuck back in that corner, and all they needed was to stop them on that play, and they were going to have ideal field position.
Good running by Mr. Owens, who kept his feet pumping and just broke tackles. They were there.
And the way the West Geauga offense moved the ball in their first possession, the Orange defense would have really been feeling the pressure, I think. Here's the pitch now to number 24 in the ball game for the first time, and that is Jimmy Woody, and Jimmy Woody gets across midfield to the 49 of West G. But there's a flag on the play, and it's in the area where you might expect to see a hold. Instead, it's a blocking below the waist. Big penalty against Orange.
Did either one of you see that flag being thrown?
Yeah.
I mean, that referee threw that like 15 yards in the air. I'll bet you that's an old quarterback that's repping the game, just turned into the referee profession.
I think I saw that illegal block, and it was on Brett Schultz. He actually made the tackle laying on the ground on his stomach and just happened to, with arm sprints, trip up the running back.
So a 15-yard penalty against Orange for blocking below the waist. Takes the ball all the way back out to the 32-yard line. 2nd down, call it 24 yards to go for an Orange first down.
I'll tell you, Kevin Owen at quarterback is a very, very good ball handler. He has fine fakes. He knows how to run the option play, knows when to pitch it, knows when to keep it. So far, I'm very impressed with this young quarterback, and we haven't even seen him put the ball in the air yet.
2nd down, 24 for Orange. Wide to the right comes Paradise. And Owen gives the ball to Mylan Johnson. Johnson gets to the 35. Stopped there by a number of West G players. Once again, Daryl Colura, number 57, in on the tackle. The gain of about 3. It'll be 3rd down. Let's call it 21.
Daryl Colura playing right tackle. He's doing a real fine job tonight. That's third play in a row where he's been deep in Orange's backfield, disrupting the offensive flow.
Orange comes out once again. Wide to the left is Paradise, number 82. Wide to the right, number 24, Jimmy Woody. In the backfield, it's Johnson up and Raines back in the eye. Owen to throw. Steps up, goes to the sideline. A screen to Raines. 30, cuts back to the outside. 35, and he is cut down on a beautiful tackle by number 56, Jeff Pitcock. And had Pitcock not made that play, Alan Raines would have had a very long gain. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play by middle linebacker Jeff Pitcock. Again, it was a pass play. He had middle coverage. He didn't get suckered and he stayed at home, and as the running back was cutting back, he was there and nailed him.
Julian and Mazurko are deep to receive the punt from Kevin Owen. It's taken on the run by Julian, who fumbles it. Now he picks it up at the 37, cuts across the 40, and he's thrown down as he reaches the West G 42-yard line. Number 74 for Orange, Howie Cleveland in on the tackle. It'll be 1st and 10 for West G at the West G 42.
think that was the case of the West Geauga receiver taking a little glance downfield, taking his eyes off the ball. He saw plenty of running room in front of him. Unfortunately, he didn't look the ball down into his hands, so he can't run without it.
Had Julian fielded the ball cleanly, he would have had a long return. That was a short, low kick, an ideal punt to return for a big gain. 1st and 10 for West Geauga from the 42. Craddock rolls to throw, can't find anybody, steps up, now throws to Blasey, 45 out to the 49. A lot of poise shown there by Greg Craddock. It'll be 2nd down and 3 from the 49-yard line.
John, I'm really liking Coach Postguy's offensive scheme tonight. He's running up the middle, keeping the linebackers in tight, and then letting Greg run out, uses him running, billing, or passing, and throwing underneath the coverage. It's very effective. It's not greedy offense. He keeps this up, he's going to march right down the field and get the score he needs.
2nd and 3. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right is Sterlikar. Tight to the left is Blasey. It's Julian left and Lorenzo right in the T. The give is to Nick Lorenzo. Lorenzo fights his way across midfield to about the 49-yard line. He picks up 2. That'll leave him short of a 1st down. It'll be 3rd down. Call it about 1. No, more than that. 3rd down about 2, rather. Let's call it 3rd and 2.
Well, Joe, what would you call, Joe, right now?
What would I call? Play action. I'd call play action.
Let's see.
And I'd either go to the, well, we're at the end of the 1st quarter anyway. The 1st quarter is over here at West Geauga High School with our score, Orange 7, West Geauga nothing.
Not ready. Oh, there it goes. A little light came on.
Well, we're all set to start action here in the 2nd quarter. 3rd and 2 for West Geauga, squarely at midfield. Wide to the right is Mazurko. The give comes to John Julian, and Julian fights his way to the 45-yard line of Orange for a 1st down. A gain of 5. It is 1st and 10 for West Geauga at the Orange 45-yard line.
I can now see why West Geauga told us last week that they were going to miss the action of Mr. Julian. He looks like a very fine running back. He's got good leg action and definitely has a nose for daylight and running hard. I think he's going to have a big game tonight.
Wide to the left comes Sterlikar, and the slot right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Julian left and Lorenzo right. That's Tom Richards left and Lorenzo right in the T. The give is to Tom Richards, and Richards fights his way all the way inside the 35 to the 34-yard line. A very nice piece of running by Tom Richards for a West Geauga 1st down.
Now, I'd have to say this is a totally different West Geauga team from what we saw last week. Last week, in that opening kickoff run back by Chardon, they turned into a very flat team. This week, they just shook it right off, and they're playing inspired, good football. They ran into a couple bad breaks, a long kickoff return, a fumble, but they've come back rather well. I'm impressed.
Wide to the right comes Mazurko. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey. Richards up, and Julian back in the eye. The give is to John Julian on the delay, breaks the tackle, and finally then he's wrapped up at about the 34-yard line. Only got a 1-yard, actually had no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down. Let's call it a full 10 yards to go for West Geauga.
Yeah, that was one of those fun plays for a running back. What it was a roll action draw, and of course when the tailback gets the ball, a lot of times it can be a lot of fun because everybody's rushing right by him, but unfortunately on that play, Orange defense did very well.
Sterlikar is wide to the right, wide to the left is Quinlan. Blasey is tight to the left, Richards left, and right in the T is Julian behind Craddock. Craddock to throw down the sideline, caught by Sterlikar, 30 down to the 28-yard line. Thrown down there by number 24 of Orange, and that is Jimmy Woody, a gain of about 4 on the play. It'll be 3rd down, let's call it 4 for West Geauga.
Seems to me that Orange secondary is just giving a little bit too much cushion to the West Geauga team tonight. They're laying back. I don't know if they're waiting for the hook and goes or what, but they're just giving far, far too much room to them this evening.
3rd down. Let's call it 4 yards to go for a West Geauga 1st down. Wide to the left is Mazurko. In the slot right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. It's Richards left and Julian right in the T behind Craddock. Here's the give to Richards, 25, down to the 22, possibly the 21-yard line. Tom Richards has 8 yards and a West Geauga first down.
It was a nice explosive run by Tom. Strictly a power dive off right tackle. Line did a fine job of hitting a hole for him, and he just was very quick in getting in and getting out.
First and 10 for West G at the 22-yard line. Wide to the right comes Sterlikar. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey. Richards up. Julian back in the eye behind Craddock. Here's the pitch to Julian. 25 down to about the 20-yard line, a short gain. He's brought down there by number 75 Rodney Jordan, and also number 79, John Chianchi. A gain of 2, let's call it, second down and 8.
Okay, well, this is time I expect to see one of Joe's, as he called it earlier, play action. I think that would work very well against this team. Hit the middle of the line once, maybe twice, and go into the play action when you get them looking for the buck up the middle. Be interesting to see if they listen to Coach Scarola's forecast for them.
Linebackers on this Orange team, I noticed, are playing in a position where it's very difficult for them to defend the pass, you know, especially against a tight end or on a screenplay. Craddock, the throw, rolls to his left. He's got all kinds of room. 15 down to the 10, maybe the 9-yard line. Well, actually, we'll call it the 10. In either case, he has the first down. It is first and, well, we'll have to check exactly where they spot the ball, and maybe first and goal right at the 10-yard line. We'll have to see here whether they're in a position where they could make a first down. Yeah, it's first down just outside the 10. Westie is actually in a spot where they could make a first down without scoring a touchdown here. A little short of the 10-yard line. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. In the slot right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Julian left, Richards right in the T. The give is to Tom Richards, and Tom Richards gets down to the 8, possibly the 7. Thrown down there by number 75, Jordan. Gain of about 3. Let's call it second and 7 yards to go around the 8-yard line.
You know, John, it's got to be really rough for Orange playing that 4-4 defense and unbalanced line, which West Geauga's thrown at them about every other play because, you know, you're shifting so much power to one side of the field.
Against that defense, that unbalanced line really puts you at a big advantage. Makes it an awful lot easier for you to run the ball. Here's the pitch now to Julian, kind of the outside. Julian, 5-yard line. He's knocked down there at the 5. Brought down there by a horde of Orange tacklers, including number 64, Joe Cohen. A gain of 3. It'll be third down. Let's call it 4 yards to go at the Orange 5.
I tell you, so far what I see out of this Orange team, they meet all forecasts we expected of them. Seems to be a good-based offense with a very, very weak defense, and West Geauga's exploiting it with a much turned-on team tonight.
Wide to the left is Sterlikar, and motion left comes Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Rolling to his left is Craddock, and he is going to be snowed under back outside the 10-yard line at the 14. He's knocked down there on a fine defensive play by Joe Cohen of Orange. It'll be fourth down. And I would imagine at this point, it'll be interesting to see whether they go for it or whether Mike Poe's guy decides to have Tom Richards attempt to put 3 points on the board.
I'd go for the 3 if I was him. Just get some points on the board, build up a little bit of confidence. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Tom Richards, who has a very strong leg and is capable of probably hitting anywhere from 40 to 45 yards in, will attempt a field goal. Mazurko will hold. The ball will be spotted at the 20. It'll be a 30-yard attempt. A terrible snap. Richards gets the ball up in the air anyway, however, and it hit the crossbar and bounced the wrong way. That field goal attempt was ruined by a poor snap. They never really had a chance to get their timing down.
That's true. I'll tell you, the holder for West Geauga did one heck of a good job getting that ball placed. As Joe said, it was a terrible snap. You got it down there, so at least they came reasonably close on giving the field goal a try.
Oh, it wasn't too bad. It was still spiraling as it was skipping across the grass.
Used to be a holder, Mick. You seem a little sympathetic.
No, a center.
Oh, center, excuse me.
Certainly you'd have to think that the concentration of Tom Richards was distracted by that poor snap. He had to think a lot about getting the ball off. Of course, that weak snap allowed the Orange rush to get right in there on him, and he had to think about getting the ball off quickly. Actually did a good job just getting rid of the ball. Owen, again, on another big carry across the 30 out to about the 33-yard line, and Kevin Owen has been a one-man offense tonight for Orange. He has another first down.
Boy, that's the truth. They ought to just forget about the quarterback spot, put him at tailback where he seems to be just catering. He's a strong runner. It's good ball handling by him, which sets it up, draws the West Geauga defense in a little bit, and then afterwards it's just pure running ability. It's very impressive so far tonight in the ground game.
6:07 to play here in the first half. Orange leads at 7-0 on a 73-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage by Kevin Owen. That was back in the first quarter. Owen fumbles the snap, picks it up, runs across the 35 and the 40 out to the 41, but there are whistles all over the place, and I think this play is going to be whistled down.
I think I didn't really notice it, but Mr. Owens must have touched the knee down when he picked up the ball. That's about the only thing I could figure out happened on that particular play.
Apparently he did, because there was no penalty, and it's going to be called a 2-yard loss. It'll be 2nd down and 12 back at the 31.
I'm sure a cable vision camera has picked up exactly what happened. We're at a disadvantage being behind the West Geauga defense from our vantage point right now, but sure the cameras are right on there, notice the knee touching, and I'll explain it as you're watching the game. Wide to the left comes Paradise. In the slot left is Woody. There's a screen out to Paradise, and Paradise hit his knee right down on the 36-yard line. The throw was a bit low from Kevin Owen, and Paradise really didn't have a chance to do much more than go down to one knee and catch the ball, and of course be downed right there immediately by his knee touching. It'll be 3rd down.
So again, it's a big play for West Geauga's defense. They stop him here, and they should have a ball in pretty good field position with at least 3 minutes to go in the half to try and get some points on the board before they go in that locker room.
3rd down, let's call it about 4 yards, 5 yards actually. Owen, the throw under heavy pressure, just got the ball away, and it is thrown low and incomplete. Was intended there for Chris Paradise. Will bring up 4th down, and for the 2nd time in the ball game, Kevin Owen will be forced to punt for Orange.
I'll tell you, even if he had caught it, Chris Paradise ran a bad route. He was placed himself probably a half to 1 yard short of the first down marker anyhow. That's something you guys got to look at when you're running these pass patterns. Get to the point where you want to be. Don't go behind and count on running ability, because you really can't always count on that being there.
And we have a fake, and it's number 26, and that is Mylan Johnson, and Johnson is down all the way inside the 35 to the 31-yard line of West Geauga. The West Geauga special teams were caught napping, and Orange has a 1st down.
Very much. That was a very apt statement, Joe. That's exactly what happened. They caught him napping. They were just containing, going back to set up a return, weren't looking for the fake punt possibility at all, and they just got caught in the squeeze.
West Geauga essentially has dominated the action in this game, but Orange has had big plays, and the Lions lead at 7-0, and they're threatening again with the ball 1st and 10 at the West East 31. Owen gives the ball up the middle to Johnson again, I believe that is. And Johnson's down inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line. He picked up 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Yeah, that fake punt, that's the kind of plays that's been plaguing West Geauga all season. It's a mental mistake, and unfortunately it comes at the wrong time, as most mental mistakes come. And it's the kind of stuff that really will stall your offensive and defensive games, that's for sure.
Paradise comes wide left, and the slot left is Woody. Owen keeps the ball himself down to the 26-yard line. Thrown down there by number 62 of West Geauga, and that is Frank Halo. It's a gain of about 3. It'll bring up 3rd and 4 at the 26-yard line.
I don't know. What do you think, Mick? But I seriously believe that this attitude of the West Geauga has improved. Maybe Coach Poe's guys put them through rigorous practices to get it. Would you agree that it's a better attitude?
Oh, yeah, they look a lot better tonight, more aggressive. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the homecoming, and I'm sure Coach Poe's guy did work them over pretty good all week.
I can't imagine that the West Geauga coaches could have been too pleased with last week's performance against Chardon. Here's the give to Mylan Johnson again, and Johnson is down close to the 20-yard line. I believe he's got enough for an Orange 1st down.
I'm pretty sure the West Geauga boys are like most solid CVC players, and I'm sure they were really disappointed in their performance. And a lot of times, as you know, your worst critic is yourself, and I'm sure they did a lot of internal soul searching all week, and They're sure coming through tonight.
First and 10 from the 20-yard line. Wide to the left comes number 89, Bill Brooks. Wide to the right is Paradise. Owen, 20, 15, 10, touchdown. Kevin Owen scores his second touchdown of the ball game, and he's been a one-man wrecking crew tonight for the Orange Lions. Orange leads at 13-0.
I'll tell you, that was a classic illustration of the old hip-and-go routine. Kevin Owens just danced around, shook the hips a little bit. West Geauga defenders just kind of fell for his little hip shifts, and he just cut it back inside for a touchdown. Nice run again by young Kevin Owens, the quarterback for Orange.
2 minutes and 19 seconds to play here in the first half. Barkett will attempt the extra point. Holding will be number 29, Brad Emmerman. Ball is down, and the kick from Barkett is up, and it is good. So with 2 minutes and 19 seconds to play here in half number one, it's West Geauga trailing Orange by a score of 14-0.
I tell you, West Geauga has time. They got 2 minutes, 19 ticks left on the clock, and they still do have time to get some more points on this board, which would help their halftime talk with Coach Posguy, I'm sure.
Very difficult, I'll tell you. You know, you got to wonder if you're West Geauga down there. Basically, West Geauga has pretty much controlled the game. They've had the ball on 2 possessions. Both of those possessions, they could have scored touchdowns easily. West Geauga has probably had the ball about 2/3 of the ball game, and yet they're down on the scoreboard by 14 points. 3 big plays producing 2 Orange touchdowns. The 2 touchdown runs by Owen and the fake punt run by Johnson. Goes to show you that sometimes football is a strange game. You can dominate a game and wind up with nothing to show for it. Barkett will kick off. It's a squib kick again. Goes through the hands of one West Geauga player. Finally picked up by Julian. 15, 20, 25, 30, 31-yard line. And stopped there by number 25, Bob James. And it will be first and 10 for West Geauga at the West Geauga 30.
I think we're going to have to see West Geauga come out in this series and start airing out the ball a little bit. They've got to get some points on the board before they go into half. They may run the ball a couple times, set it up, but look for them to go deep in this series of offensive plays.
Quinlan comes wide right. Wide to the left is Sterlicard. Tight to the right is Blasey. Up in the backfield is Lorenzo. Back is Julian. Back to throw is Craddock to the sideline. Caught by Blasey. Out to the 35-yard line, let's call it. He's thrown down there by number 24, Jimmy Woody. A gain of 5. It'll be second down and 5 for West G.
I'll tell you, in that particular tackle, I'd have to say, I don't know if it's a rare instance or not, but Jimmy Woody looks a little bit like a headhunter. He was tackling rather high up on those shoulder pads.
Yeah, it reminded me of Erich Barnes.
Yeah, very much so.
Second down, let's call it about 5 yards to go. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Left in the T is Julian. Right is Lorenzo. Tight to the right is Blasey. Back to throw Craddock under heavy pressure. Steps to his left. Now he's going to have to run. 35 out to about the 38-yard line. Thrown down 2 yards short of a West Geauga first down. A gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 2. And this is a good time for me to remind you that you can get all of the local and national sports news in the Geauga Times-Leader. 12 days or 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12. Call 286-6101, 564-5707. The Geauga Times-Leader, your local newspaper. And Craddock on the quarterback sneak takes the ball across the 40 out to the 44-yard line for a first down. I believe now that West Geauga will call for time. And yes, they do. West Geauga calls for a timeout with 40 seconds to play here in the first half.
I don't know about you, gentlemen, but I thought that was a rather strange play choice. What was that, 4 yards to go on that particular one?
They had about 2.
Oh, 2 is all it was?
Yeah, they had 2. So it was something that you might see on the 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 frequently, I'd say. Mike Posguy and Greg Craddock talking it over out there. Mike Posguy, who spent 10 years as an assistant at West Geauga in the 70s, is a West Geauga player back in the mid-'60s, later played at Purdue University and spent 10 years as a Westie assistant coach, 2 years as an assistant coach at Hiram, went to Akron Coventry High School as head coach for 2 years, returned to his alma mater as athletic director in 1983, and after Bob Quackenbush resigned at the end of the 1983 season, Mike Posguy became the head coach of the West Geauga Wolverines, and he's now in his second year. He's also still the athletic director at West Geauga High School. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. In the backfield, it's Lorenzo up and Julian back in the eye behind Greg Craddock. 1st and 10 from the 44. Craddock to throw. Steps up to the outside. Now he's going to run with the ball. 45, and he's run out of bounds at the 49-yard line by Joe Cohen. A gain of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Yeah, there's 33 seconds left, and West Geauga, what they need is a big play right now, and not scrambling around, and Greg's going to have to try and make something happen. The best way to do that is air the ball out. So you're going to make more yardage throwing at this point in the game than you are running. And again, his receivers got to help out. If he starts scrambling, they've got to break their patterns off and find the open spaces.
Orange defense will be more than happy to let him scramble for 5- and 6-yard gains at this point. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Craddock again to throw. Steps up under pressure, and he's going to be downed back at the 42-yard line. And once again, I believe Westie will call for timeout. And actually, Greg Craddock showed a great deal of poise there. It would have been very easy for him just to put the ball up in the air for grabs and risk an interception. He played it smart and took the sack.
I'd agree with you on that particular one. He even pumped the ball once, saw the receivers, and just weren't open, decided to eat it. That was good heads-up play by young Craddock.
And it also results, unfortunately, for West Geauga in an 8-yard loss. It'll be 3rd and 12 for the Wolverines at the West Geauga 42-yard line. They have 1 timeout remaining and 26 seconds on the clock here in the first half, trailing Orange 14-0.
I think what Greg did on that last play is indicative of why coaches like to go with senior quarterbacks, too. You know, they've got all that experience and poise under their belt, and they less tendency to make a mental mistake like just throwing the ball up in the air.
Yeah, we did see that earlier in the year at the Kempton Youngstown South game where they had a freshman quarterback starting for him, and he made many, many mental errors. The experience on the field is just showing. Like Mick said, seniors is where it's at quarterback slot.
Mazurko wide to the right, wide to the left is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey, and the slot right Julian. Craddock to throw, eludes one man. Steps up to the outside, 45, run out of bounds to the 48-yard line. It'll be 4th down, and the Orange secondary is doing a good job of shutting down those West Geauga receivers and forcing Greg Craddock to run with the football.
Well, another thing, too, is I'm watching West Geauga's offensive receivers go out. I think the deepest I've seen any split receiver go is 10, 12 yards and across the middle. So they're not running any real deep routes or flooding an area, and it's allowing Orange to take care of those easy pass running routes.
The receivers don't seem to be responding either when Craddock is in trouble. They don't come back to the quarterback. They don't line themselves up with a man, allow him to throw the ball downfield, give him a lane. Mick Dwyer will punt for the first time, and he just barely got the ball away inside of 30, 25, 20. The ball is still rolling. Kevin Owen will let it continue to roll. And this roll is blown dead at about the 15-yard line. Not a pretty punt, but a very effective one by Mick Dwyer, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Orange at the Orange 15.
Was that Owens back for the punt?
Yeah, it was.
Well, I before the night's over, I'd like to see him field the punt and see what he can do with it.
Like I said, he's a one-man wrecking crew. He's definitely been the difference in this ball game. No
unquestionably, yes. Let's see, he's probably in a 100-yard range for carries. Well, I'm sure he's easily within 100 yards.
And that's the end of the first half. The first half is over here at West Geauga High School with our score, the Orange Lions 14 and the West Geauga Wolverines nothing. We will have the bands for you here at halftime, the Orange Band and also the West Geauga Marching Band, which of course will have a special show and all those special festivities tonight for homecoming, as this is homecoming here at West Geauga High School. And now you can enjoy, coming up first here tonight, the Orange High School Marching Band. That was a fine performance by the Orange High School Marching Band, and now presenting the West Geauga High School Marching Band under the direction of Mr. Norm Matthews, performing for the homecoming crowd here tonight at West Geauga High School. after this timeout. Halftime. Orange 14, West Geauga nothing, and to run down the first half, here's John Walsh and Mick Naruch.
Okay, well, I have to say, as far as Orange goes, I see a porous defense and Mr. Owen offense. That's essentially been the game plan for Orange tonight. Offensively, all they've had is a couple real fine runs by Owen, and then the fake punt, which got him pretty much directly accounted for their 14 points. Short of that, they really haven't shown me much offensively. I'm not sure if they have any other backs that can really gain any sort of yardage, though statistically they do show it. This evening they're just non-existent, essentially. I'll just have to turn it over to Mick now, who will talk about the West G team.
Thanks, John. West Geauga just simply has to play good, sound, fundamental football the second half and eliminate some of the mental errors that have been costing them big plays. Offensively, I think they've got a good running game, passing game going. Greg Craddock looks very composed in there, and I expect them to move the ball. It's a matter of getting it in the end zone. Defensively, they're going to have to shut down the running of Mr. Owen, and that's a simple fact of anytime Mike's suggestion would be anytime that
You got to be thinking, what can we do to win a ball game? Obviously, controlling the game has not been enough for them to win it at this point.
Again, Joe, it goes back to cutting down on mental mistakes. Mental mistakes obviously can happen when it really doesn't count or in crucial situations. Unfortunately for West Geauga, we've only seen them the last two games, but again, the mental mistakes have happened on big plays, and that's always going to compound the problem of a big play and always make you be working out of a deficit.
Once again, a reminder, every Monday night here on Cablevision Channel 20, we will have a CVC Game of the Week now through the end of the season. It's going to be the CVC Game of the Week. Each game will involve at least one of the four schools in the Cablevision primary service area, be it West Geauga, whom you're seeing tonight, Chardon, Kenston, or Chagrin Falls. At least one of those four teams will be involved in every one of our games. Due to contractual agreements, we cannot tell you where we are going to be any given week in advance. We can, however, tell you that each week on the CVC Game of the Week, you will see one of the four schools in the Cablevision primary service area. And we've had a lot of fun. This is the 6th week of the season. We're 60% of the way through, and it just seems like it's been a couple of weeks to me.
I'd say 55%. We're only at halftime of our 6th game there, Joe.
Well, you're really cutting hairs there, John.
Barbering is my advocation.
Yes.
Okay, recapping last week in the CBC, we had the game we watched. Chardon beat West Geauga 16-7. Kenston rode over Twinsburg 21-7. Chagrin Falls beat Orange 10-0. And Solon beat Wycliffe 26-16. Tonight action in CBC is the game we're watching presently, Orange at West Geauga. Solon goes to Chagrin Falls in the Battle of the Unbeaten. Twinsburg will be at Chardon, the other unbeaten team in the CBC, and Wycliffe goes to Kenston. Standings so far in CBC are we have Chagrin sitting at 5-0, 2-0 in the CBC. Chardon sits at 4-1, 2-0 in CBC. Solon 2-3, 2-0 in the CBC. Wycliffe 3-2, 1-1 in the CBC. Kenston 2-3, 1-1 in the CBC. Orange is 2-3 on the season with an 0-2 CBC record. Twinsburg is 2-3 and 0-2 in league play. And West Geauga, our host team tonight, is 1-4, 0-2 in CBC, and hoping to improve that this evening.
Well, we're getting all set for the second half here. The second half is not too far away. West Geauga will be receiving the ball in this half after Orange took the ball to start the ball game. This is a good time to remind you once again that if you have a local news tip, call the Geauga Times Leader, 286-6101 or 564-5707 for 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12. That's the Geauga Times Leader, your local newspaper. Well, we're about all set to go here as the second half is getting ready to unfold. And once again, it was the first half dominated by the quarterback of Orange, number 22, Kevin Owen. Owen ran for 73 yards on the game's first play from scrimmage for a touchdown. And then in the second quarter, following a fake punt on which the West Geauga special teams were caught napping, which gave Orange a first down at the 31-yard line, Owen ran for 22 yards and another Orange score. Those were the only two scores of the first half. West Geauga had the ball only 3 times in the first half, but twice on long marches they drove within the Orange 15-yard line. The first time, Greg Craddock, the quarterback, fumbled at the 5. Orange recovered at the goal line. And on the second possession, after a sack and a poor snap on a field goal attempt, Tom Richards missed a 30-yard field goal attempt. Because of that poor snap, basically the ball hit the crossbar and bounced the wrong way. And that's basically been the story of the first half. Certainly West Geauga could get back in the ball game. They've controlled the action up to this point. What they do here on this first possession of the third quarter, I think, will be very, very critical, as they will get the ball. And we'll see what they do on offense. So we're all set to go. Mike Mazurko deep to receive, number 17, along with number 30. John Julian is in the middle, and on the far end of the screen, number 24, John Quinlan. And the kicking for Orange will be number 14, Matt Barkett. Barkett didn't impress me as having a particularly strong leg in practice. In fact, he had trouble hitting extra points consistently, although he's hit both of his attempts in the ball game. That's a short squib kick, rolling down inside the 25, and it rolls out of bounds to the 23-yard line. That penalty will force Orange now to kick the ball from the 35.
Yeah, that's a definite weakness to this Orange squad, is their kicking game. We were watching also the punts, and they weren't too very impressive in those either. We've illustrated in other weeks that we've watched the teams with the good kicking just seems to improve the attitudes, naturally the field position of the teams, and helps the whole squad. Kicking game is just a very, very important part of football, which you like to have the good kicker, but if you don't have the luxury of having one or hopefully 2 on your roster, it definitely hurts your chances.
I'm going to see a very good example of what a guy like Dale Backus does for Chardon. That's an excellent example. He probably won a couple of games this year single-handedly for that team. There's a low kick once again, comes on a high hop to Mazurko, the 25, 30, 35, and he's thrown down as he reaches the 38, possibly the 39-yard line. Let's call it the 38. It'll be 1st and 10 for West G at their own 38-yard line.
Well, gentlemen, this opening series for West Geauga is going to set the tone, I think, in the second half. Again, West Geauga's got to be patient, work the game plan, do what they were doing the first half, and take it all the way down the end zone.
Wide to the right comes Sterlikar. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey. And the give goes to John Julian. Julian cutting to the outside, 40, 45, midfield. He's cut down by Kevin Owen as he reaches the Orange 48-yard line. He has a West G first down.
Do you know why John Julian was out last week? What was his injury he pulled up on?
Well, he just had a sore ankle.
Oh, is that what it is? Because I noticed he seemed to have trouble trying to cut that play back to the inside. I was wondering if it was a foot injury or knee injury of some sort.
I can see where West Geauga is sure glad to have this feedback.
1st and 10 at the 48-yard line of Orange for West G. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. And the give is to Lorenzo, and Lorenzo goes down to about the 46-yard line. Thrown down there by number 79, and that is John Chianti, who's been on quite a few plays for Orange tonight. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down, about 8 yards to go.
Yeah, as Joe mentioned, John Chianti is doing a very, very fine job for Orange this evening. We've noticed him in the middle of many, many tackles because, well, then again, that falls into just basic strength of this thing is the tackle plays where they collapse on the middle, hold their ground because of the spread of the linebackers where you have to go get them. So that's a good position to play in this sort of defense.
2nd down and 8 at the 46-yard line. Craddock drops back, looking. Dumps a screen out to Quinlan. 50, 45, 40. He's still going down inside the 35, down to the 33-yard line. A well-executed screen by the West Geauga Wolverines, working for 13 yards and a first down.
Again, that was a good play on West Geauga's part. Again, they're not trying to go deep, long bombs or any dangerous type passes. It's just an ideal situation. That's kind of down in yardage to try and work yourself a flanker screen. Paid off very nicely.
First and 10 at the 33-yard line for West Geauga. In motion right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. Craddock to throw. Rolling to the outside under heavy pressures. Hit as he throws. And the ball comes up wide of Matt Blasey at the 32-yard line. He would have had only a short gain had he caught the ball, and it brings up second down.
Yeah, the West Geauga fans were screaming for an interference play on that call, but I'm not really sure. It's hard to see from behind whether he had a hand on him or not. I think it was just good, tight coverage on our Orange player part.
For a minute, though, I thought Mr. Blasey had 4 hands.
The old Marcel routine.
First and 10 at the 32-yard line. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Wide to the left is Skirlikar. Tight to the right is Blasey. Richards up and Julian back in the eye. Craddock's pass is caught by Quinlan. He fumbles, and I believe Orange has the ball, and they do. Another bad break for the West Geauga Wolverines. A fumble by Quinlan after the catch. And once again, West E goes deep into Orange territory, only to lose the ball on a turnover, and it'll be first and 10 for Orange at the Orange 23-yard line.
See, at halftime we were talking to the parents of one of the West G players, and they referred to the West G team as being snake bit. I suppose this is another case of what they're referring to, where the penalty occurs at the wrong time, the coughed-up ball occurs just when they don't need it. They had a nice drive going. It was just stopped by giving up the ball.
West G has moved the ball exceptionally well, but they have nothing to show for it. Owen gives the ball off to Alan Raines, I believe. Or maybe that was Johnson. Excuse me. Johnson was the ball carrier. He didn't get much of anything. Got maybe a yard on the play. Stopped there by Petronas. And it'll be second down. Let's call it 9 yards to go. Orange ball, second down. Wide to the right comes Paradise. Owen rolling to his left. Still has the ball, and he is snowed under by the West Geauga defense. Brought down there by number 77, Scott Zabrowski, for a big loss, and it'll be third down and forever for Orange, all the way back at the Orange 15-yard line. It'll be third and 18.
Yeah, Zabrowski and Petronas, they were having a track meet to get to Owen. Owen rolled away from him, and no one had blocking assignments on those two gentlemen on the back side of the play, and they just tremendous rush on their part. It's a beautiful play.
Third down, and let's call it 18 yards to go. Wide to the right is Woody. Wide to the left is Paradise. Owen is going to run another draw. Cuts the outside, 15, 20. Forced out of bounds to 21. This time the West Geauga defense was ready for it. They held Owen to a 6-yard gain. It'll be fourth down. Call it 4th and 12. And Orange will be forced to punt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Orange does on the next series. It appears that West Geauga is keying rather heavily on quarterback
Kevin Owen.
Kevin Owen. Thank you, Joe. So it's a possibility that he could just give it to that up back and he could break a long run. It's a dangerous thing to do, to key on one man like that.
Kevin Owen gets a nice high punch. Julian fumbles it, picks it up at the 40, cuts across the 45, midfield, gets a good block, 45, 40. He may be going all the way. Owen is the only man who could stop him, and Owen knocks Julian out of bounds to the 25-yard line. It'll be a first and 10 for West Geauga, deep in Orange territory at the 25-yard line of the Orange Lions.
Gentlemen, how many times do we see this, a fumble or muff kick, and then all of a sudden you see a big play? I think coaches ought to work on designing those kind of plays intentionally, because there always seems to be a big play on muff.
Julian showed a lot of composure there. You know, he could have really gotten rattled fumbling that punt. Instead, he just calmly picked it up, knew he had plenty of time. There was nobody near him. Just picked it up and ran with the ball. And once again, the give is to John Julian, and Julian gets down to about the 20-yard line. He's knocked down, actually, that's Richards, the ball carrier, excuse me. A gain of about 5 on the play. It'll be second down and 5.
Yeah, I think West Geauga is setting them up for a few handoffs. I expect to see the ball on the ground quite a bit, then a play action fake off of that. It looks like they're gearing up their ground game now, realizing that's probably the safest way to keep the ball, because most of their fumbles have been occurring on recepted passes.
They've mixed the run and the pass very well, and they've moved the ball very easily in this ball game. Wide to the left is Quinlan, and he comes in motion left. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. That gives to Julian, 20, down to about the 15-yard line. He is within measuring distance of a West Geauga first down, and in fact may have it. And I believe he does. Well, they're calling a third down now. They're going to call it a little bit short, I guess. He's going to be a little bit short of a first down, maybe a foot or two. It'll be third down and less than a yard for West Geauga as they break huddle outside the orange 15-yard line. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. And Craddock takes it himself. And Greg Craddock takes the ball down to the 11. He picked up 4 yards, and that will be good for a West Geauga first down.
Joe, I think we ought to give the West Geauga offensive line some real good credit tonight. They're really playing aggressive blocking up there in the pits. And that's Bob Nagy, Todd Benessi, Paul Powers, Mike Stevnicki, and Bob Fortenbaugh.
They've opened a lot of holes there for West G running backs tonight. The slot right is Quinlan. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Richards left, Julian right in the T behind Greg Craddock on 1st and 10 from the 11. The give is to Richards, and Tom Richards is going nowhere. He gets inside the 10 down to the 9. He was hit almost immediately by number 64, Joe Cohen, and also number 56, Matt Anderson. Never had a chance to get rolling. It'll be second down and 8.
One observation I made tonight is with Tom Richards. Last week he was forced to play tailback. He's naturally a fullback. And it's really demonstrated to me how difficult it is for a young man to switch in the running positions, particularly in the power I. And he's definitely a fullback material. He looks real good tonight.
Second down and 8 at the 9-yard line. Craddock gives the ball to Julian. Julian cuts inside the 7, maybe down to the 6. Brought down there by number 75, Rodney Jordan. Call it a gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 5 for West G at the orange 6-yard line. And once again, West Geauga down deep in orange territory. Every other time they've been down here in the game, something has happened to them. We'll see whether they can convert something now.
What would you think of the old play action at this moment? You think that'd be a good safe call?
Run-pass option would be nice. Definitely something, a rollout with a run-pass option would definitely be nice. 3rd down and 5 from the 6-yard line. Craddock rolling to his right. Throws it into the end zone. It is overthrown, intended for Matt Blasey. Blasey was smothered, and he could do nothing but throw the ball away, Greg Craddock. It'll be 4th down.
West Geauga, they obviously have a tough decision to make here, but being down 14-0, I think it's a good idea to give it a go. I think they got to try and they've got a chance to get a first down and optimally get themselves a touchdown.
We'll see what they're planning to do here, and of course they are going to go for it. 4th and 5.
I think I'd take 3 in this case, just to get points, get momentum build up.
Quinlan to the left. Out to the right comes Mazurko. Richards left and Julian right in the T. Now Julian comes in motion left. Quinlan rolling, or Craddock rather, rolling to his left in a lot of trouble. Now he comes back and he's sacked. He's sacked all the way out at the 17-yard line. Once again, West Geauga drives deep into orange territory only to be denied. And for the 3rd time in the ball game, the Wolverines get inside the 15-yard line of orange and come out of it with no points.
Yeah, one of the reasons I was pushing for a score was I figured at worst they would be turning the ball over down around the 5-7-yard line, and unfortunately on that sack, it's not going to even work out to that type of benefit.
Yeah, I think what does this do to the West Geauga defense psychologically? It can't help them any either, you know. And when you're 1-4, and obviously a lot of things have not been going your way, and you have a few breaks like this, you wonder what it does to a team's composure.
What would you have done in that case, Joe? I stuck my neck out, Mick stuck his neck out. Which way would you have gone in that one?
Are you talking about...
would you have gone for it or taken the 3?
Yeah, at this point in the ball game, I would have gone for it because the 3 points really don't help them very much. They've still got to score twice to win the ball game.
Well, I was just looking at it as a case of letting them know that they can put points on the board. Just the psychological advantage of getting the momentum turned around so it's not points going against you, it's points going in your direction. Because obviously they're able to move the ball this evening, so I thought it'd just be a good opportunity to just get some safe points and hopefully come back to get a couple more scores.
I don't know, if it was 14-0 in the second quarter, you know, obviously I would have gone for the 3. But at this point of the ball game, you know, West Geauga needs a big lift. They need a touchdown, really, and I don't know whether the field goal would have really done much for them in that situation. We'll have to put Nick on the hot seat here and see what he thinks about all this.
I think Coach Poe's guy did the right thing.
Well, I agree with you in that situation there. Kevin Owen gives the ball to Johnson. Johnson gets out to about the 20-yard line. He picked up 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Yeah, I guess work has gone now on the West G defense to hold this down. I'm just wondering, I'm afraid of a breakaway from the Orange offense by this team that seems to be going on towards quarterback Owen. A good little double fake or something. Run the double option. Could be a good play at the moment. Fake in the line to the fullback, pitch out to the tailback.
Owen to throw, dumps it out for Paradise, and it was almost intercepted by number 22 of the West Geauga Wolverines, Brett Schultz. And had Brett Schultz intercepted that ball, it would have been a touchdown.
He could have walked into the end zone, Joe.
That was a nice play by Brett. Dropped back into his coverage, read the quarterback, and the quarterback really telegraphed that pass, and he reacted very nicely. Some people are groaning that he should have caught it, but first thing you want to do is make sure the receiver doesn't catch it, and the best bet is to knock it down.
I don't think he had that good an opportunity for the interception.
It'll be 3rd down, about 8. Owen to throw under heavy pressure, throws it downfield for Jimmy Woody. It's incomplete. And after much deliberation, the referee throws a very controversial flag for pass interference.
That kind of looked like incidental contact to me. Both the defensive and the offensive receiver were looking back at the ball, and I just think it was incidental contact.
If anything, if there should have been any call at all, it should have been offensive pass interference because Jimmy Woody ran up the back of that West Geauga defensive back. Basically, the defensive back was playing the ball. He wasn't playing the man. Woody just simply ran over him in his effort to get to the ball. I think if anything, I would have, if I had called I would have called that a no call myself if I had been officiating. But if I were to go either, if I had to go either way, had to call pass interference on somebody, I would have called it an offensive penalty on that play. 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. Owen rolling to his right, keeps the ball, gets across the 35, and there's a fumble. I believe it rolls out of bounds and still belongs to Orange.
Now, West Geauga is doing what I alluded to in the second half review, and they're really keen on Owens. There's 1 and 2 guys always hitting the quarterback, and with Owens' running threat, you have to do that and take your chances that you can contain and string out the tailbacks on that option. And right now, it's working for West Geauga.
I think we could say safely that Kevin Owen is the Orange offense. Not a part of it. He is the Orange offense, really.
This evening.
At least this evening. Wide to the left comes Brooks, Bill Brooks, and the slot left is Woody. Rolling to his left is Owen. Throws across the middle, and it is in and out of the hands of Brooks at the 48-yard line, incomplete. Covering on the play for West Geauga, number 11, Bill Coach, who played an outstanding game last week up at Chardon. It'll be 3rd down.
I was a little surprised that there wasn't a flag thrown on that play. I thought quarterback Owen did a little hit, pulled back from center just a hair early, it seemed to me. Gave a little hip motion again from his quarterback slot, which is procedure penalty. I'm surprised there wasn't a flag thrown.
They've been pretty liberal on motion. I've seen a number of instances in this game where both teams could have been called for illegal motion, and they weren't. Back to throw. Owen under heavy pressure, gets away from one West Geauga tackler, rolls across the 30, 35, and he's hemmed in by a whole horde of West G players led by Mike Mazurko, number 17, and also number 51, Todd Benanati. At a gain of only about 2 on the play. It'll be 4th down. Let's call it 4 yards to go for Orange, and Orange will be in a punting situation. Now, once earlier, back in the second quarter, with almost the same position on the field, they ran a fake, got 32 yards on the play, wound up with a 1st down at the 31 of West Geauga, and later Owen took it 22 yards for a score. This time they are going to punt the ball, and Owen gets a high driving kick. Julian fumbles it, picks it up at the 5-yard line, out to the 10, coming to the outside, in a lot of trouble. 15, stays on his feet down at about the 18-yard line, and now we have a flag.
I don't know exactly what that flag was. I saw a West Geauga player, number 51, do a good job. He had a bad angle on him, could have clipped, decided to back off. It was a good choice on him. Maybe somebody else didn't make the wise choice. I'm not sure what the penalty is.
Apparently that's the way the situation was, because they're talking it over with Orange, and it's a clip against West Geauga, and the Wolverines, who've had enough problems in this ball game with 2:52 to play here in the third quarter, are now going to have terrible field position to go along with it. And let me remind you while we're at it that you can get all of the local and national sports news every day home delivered in the Geauga Times-Leader. Call 286-6101 or 564-5707 for 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12. That's the Geauga Times-Leader, your local newspaper. First and 10 for West Geauga. They'll have the ball at their own 6-yard line, trailing by 14 points with just over 2 minutes to play here in the third quarter. And the ball is given, I believe, to Tom Richards. Richards gets out to about the 9-yard line. He picked up 3. It'll be second down, about 7.
I think they had a hole open up there. It looked like the right tackle for West G was slanting over, missed his block on a linebacker who filled the hole rather nicely, and that's what killed that play off. If it wasn't for that one missed block, I think he had one heck of a hole to make a nice gain on.
Second down, let's call it 7 yards to go for the West Geauga Wolverines. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Richards left, Julian right in the T behind Greg Craddock. Quinlan comes in motion left. Here's the give again to Tom Richards. Cross the 10, breaks a couple of tackles, gets out to the 12, maybe the 13-yard line. Brought down there by number 38 of the Orange Lions. That is Eric Goss. It'll be third down. Let's call it about 4 for West G.
I'll tell you, Orange, 2 tackles, defensive tackles are just huge fellas. They're both juniors, both 6'1" and 250 pounds. They're just a couple of lead blocks out there. Tough to push out of the middle.
Third down, about 4. Wide to the left comes Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Coming in motion left is Quinlan. Richards left, Julian right in the T. The give this time is to John Julian. Julian fights his way across the 15 out to the 17, possibly the 18-yard line, and he should have enough for a West Geauga first down. And it is. It is first and 10 for the West Geauga Wolverines at the West Geauga 18-yard line.
Yeah, give West Geauga a lot of credit. There's a critical series of plays there to get themselves out of the end zone. I think one more drive will get them out into the area of the field where they can start running the play-action passes again.
First and 10 from the 18. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey, and the slot right is Julian. Coming in motion left is Quinlan. Fake to Richards. Craddock to throw. Rolling to his left under heavy pressure. Now rolls to his right. He's going to have to run the ball. 15, 20. Out of bounds up around the 25-yard line. He was thrown into the fence, and instead of a much-needed flag and that sort of play, there is no flag. It'll be second down, about 3 yards to go.
On that particular one, I'd have to agree with West Geauga Rooters. Joe Cohen, the left side inside linebacker, made a rather late push. Young quarterback was already out of bounds. He gave him a little push in towards the fence area. I think it was unnecessary. Ref was right there. I really don't know why there wasn't a flag thrown on that play.
It was about as close to a cheap shot as you'll find, and there was no call.
I think over-enthusiastic would be the proper term, Joe.
Yes, that's a different term for it. They both mean the same thing, really. Second down and 3. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar, and motion left Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. The give is to Julian. Julian out to about the 27-yard line, we'll call it. Just short of the 28. He is also just short of a first down. It'll be third down, maybe actually less than a yard. It'll be third down and about half a yard for a West Geauga first down.
Joe, has Mazurko been in on offense tonight?
Yes, he has, but he hasn't had an opportunity, really. Hasn't had anything thrown his way. Apparently, he has not been open.
Yeah, I was impressed with him last week. He had a lot of speed, and I think that's one thing that's lacking right now out of West Geauga is some speed on that wide receiver, because every time Craig rolls out, There's just nobody breaking downfield to open up their defense.
We saw it last week. In fact, to speak of the devil right there, Mike Mazurko comes into the ball game and Dave Sterlikar leaves. Mike Mazurko was open 5 or 6 times on patterns down the sideline where he had his man beaten last week in Chardon. Greg Craddock just simply didn't get the ball to him. A lot of times he threw it short, came up short on the throw, and Mazurko was forced to come back for the ball, which gave the defensive back an advantage, took away the disadvantage that he had by being beaten a step or two. And tonight, Mike Mazurko has been in the ball game, but we haven't seen the ball thrown in his direction very often, if at all. 3rd down, and we'll call it half a yard. And Greg Craddock is going to try to take it himself, and Joe Cohen was there looking for it, and he beat the center right to the block, beat the block of the center, and cut Craddock down. And if anything, he lost yardage. It'll be 4th down and about a yard, and decision time again for Mike Posguy.
Yeah, I think that was just a case of West Geauga going to the well once too often. Seems like every 3rd and short yardage is a quarterback sneak up for that. Well, excuse going to the well. I guess they went once plenty enough. So
well, I guess they
ended
did
up
get
being
enough.
a first down.
Didn't look like to me like he made any yardage at all, but must have had a forward push somewhere there. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter here at West Geauga High School with our score. The Orange Lions 14, the West Geauga Wolverines nothing. We'll be back after this timeout. Well, we're all set to start the 4th quarter here with Orange leading West Geauga 14-0, same score we had at halftime. And West Geauga has the ball 1st and 10 at their own 28-yard line. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Tom Richards, now they shift into a T with Richards left and Julian right behind Greg Craddock. Craddock drops the throw, steps up, he's going for it long down the sideline, and it is through the hands of Quinlan and incomplete. It was Jimmy Woody was covering on the play. It'll be 2nd down. And once again, it's an excellent opportunity for me to remind you that you can start your Sunday morning off with a laugh. Read Marilyn Whipkey only in the Geauga Times-Leader. For 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for only $12, call 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times-Leader, your local newspaper. 2nd and 10 for West Geauga. Mazurko comes wide to the left. Quinlan now in motion left. Tight to the right is Blasey. Richards up, Julian back in the eye, and again Craddock to throw, dumps a screen to Quinlan. 25, 30, breaks the tackle, gets out to the 34, possibly the 35-yard line. Thrown down there by Jimmy Woody, and also in under the play was Joe Cohen, who's been very active tonight for Orange. It'll be 3rd down, and let's call it about 4 for West Geauga, a gain of 6 on the play.
That was a creative offensive play there. They brought the flanker in motion, held him up at the end, and just kind of turned and waited, and it was supposed to be like a flanker screen pass over the middle. Very interesting.
Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. In motion left comes Julian. Rolling to his left is Craddock. Dumps it off to Julian, 40. Out to the 45-yard line. Thrown down by Jimmy Woody. And also number 26 there. No, excuse me, it was not number 26. It was number 28, Ross Berry, in on the play. Gain out to the 45-yard line. 11-yard pickup, a West G 1st down.
That was a case of running back Julian not thinking on that particular play. Should have cut it out of bounds, because right now the clock is definitely working in Orange's favor. He should have got himself out of bounds, stopped the clock, because they need the 2 scores. They got to put 2 in the end zone to get back in this game, either close or take the lead on them.
1st and 10 at the 45-yard line. In motion right comes Quinlan. The give is to Julian. A big hole for Julian. He gets all the way down to the 46-yard line of Orange, a 9-yard gain. And West G will have 2nd and 1 at the 46.
Again, Julian showed us his fine running ability there. He's got very quick starting speed, guys. He comes out of that high back really quick. Gets to the line real fast.
He's got a good first step, and if there's a hole open for him, he's going to hit it. And he's one of those kind of guys, all you have to do really is just open the hole. You don't have to open it even for very long because he's right on the hole. You know. Second down, let's call it a yard. Richards up, Julian back in the eye. Once again, the give is to Don Julian. He gets a big hole, 40, 35, 30, 29-yard line. Had Julian not lost his balance coming through the line, he would have gotten a lot more than that, and it's a West Geauga first down.
See, West Geauga looks like they want to execute the big play because I saw a lot of downfield blocking further down the field for Mr. Julian. So if he could have got away from that one orange defender, he might have had the opportunity to go all the way.
Ball is squarely on the 30-yard line. First and 10 for West G. It was a 16-yard gain. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right, Blasey. It's now Julian left and Richards right in the T formation behind Greg Craddock. Craddock to throw. Sideline. This pass is tipped, intended for Quinlan. Had that ball not been deflected and Quinlan caught it, he would have been gone for a pretty good gain, at least 6-7 yards, maybe more. It'll be second down 10.
Well, I think they were trying to run a quick slant pattern with Quinlan at flanker. And a lot of times if the timing's there, you can actually catch that cornerback sleeping, and you got a quick 6 points.
Second down, 10 yards to go at the 30-yard line. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Wide to the right, Quinlan. Quinlan now comes in motion left. Tight to the right is Blasey. Give on the delay to Julian. Julian down to the 26. Calls the 26-yard line at least. He's thrown down there by Joe Cohen, number 64, also number 56, Matt Anderson. And they're not Mac, but Matt Anderson. Gain of 4. It'll be third and 6 for West G at the orange 26.
This is a part of the field where I like to see some long play action passes. Let's give it a try down that end zone right here before the defense gets all compressed.
Third down and 6. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right, Blasey. Richards up. Julian back in the I formation behind Greg Craddock. Craddock rolling to his right. Looking to throw. He's going to run with the ball. 25. Down to the 20. He gets to the 19-yard line. And with that second effort there, after he was hit, picks up enough for a first down. It is first and 10 at the 19-yard line.
That was a nice run by Greg, but I think what the coaches want from West Geauga right now is some passes. They want them to roll out and start airing the ball out. They don't have a lot of time, and the quickest way to put points on the board is throwing the ball.
First and 10 from the 19-yard line for West Geauga. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right is Sterlikar. Tight to the left is Blasey. Richards up. Julian back in the eye as Quinlan comes in motion right. Greg Craddock hands the ball to Julian. Over the left side down to the 15-yard line. Is cut down there by a horde of orange defenders led by number 28, Ross Berry. Only there was one defender actually on the play. Gain of 4. It'll be second down and 6 at the 15.
Okay, I'll tell you, Orange seems to be playing a containing type of defense right now. Their line is just holding up, making sure to seal holes and all. So I think this is the opportunity for the linebackers to be drawn in on a good play-action fake. So it'll be good to see what West G does in this particular play.
Second down and 6. Wide to the right comes Quinlan. Here's the give now to Julian. Again, he's down to about the 11-yard line. Picked up 4. That'll make it third down. Let's call it 2.
I'll tell you, John, I'm really impressed with Orange's linebacking core. They've been very active out there, and of course with that 40 defense, you're putting a lot of pressure on those kids.
Exactly so. I have been surprised that we haven't seen them blitzing and coming into the backfield, however. I don't know if it's in their basic defensive scheme or not, but I haven't seen any linebackers shoot forward and come into the West G backfield this evening.
Third down for West Geauga. There is a see it. Quinlan in the slot right. The give us to Tom Richards, and Richards, through second effort, gets down inside the 10 to the 9, and he should have enough for a West Geauga first down. I believe he does. Good power running by Tom Richards. He just refused to go down and picked up enough for the first down.
That's what any coach wants out of his fullback, is that ability to tough it, gut it out, and get that 1 and 2 and 3 really tough yards when everybody on the field knows that you're probably going to get the ball. It's a nice play.
First and goal for West Geauga. They're at the 9-yard line of Orange. Orange leads at 14-0. Wide to the left comes Mazurko. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Now Quinlan comes in motion right, rather. Here's the give to Julian. Julian down inside the 5 to about the 1.5. It'll be 2nd and goal.
I tell you, the way this drive has been setting up and all, it looks like the game shifts and the pressure goes on to the West G defense, who has to get the ball back quick, because West Geauga doesn't seem that they have the grinding out offense. They don't seem to have the big play offense that can get them to score in a hurry. So it's up to the West G defense, assuming they can push it in the end zone right now.
2nd and goal for West Geauga, about 1.5 yards away from pay dirt. And the give is to Tom Richards, and he was hit behind the line of scrimmage, never had a chance. Thrown for a loss, it'll be 3rd down.
There's no excuse for a play like that to have the nose guard come in, because that was definitely a power fullback play right up the gut, and it was just an outstanding play by Orange, and very poor play by the West Geauga offensive line.
Needless to say, somebody missed their block. 3rd down, let's call it back out at the 3-yard line. Tom Richards lost almost 2 yards on that play. It'll be 3rd and goal, about the 3. Here's the give to Julian. Julian fights his way down to about the goal line, but he is held short. It'll be 4th down, and probably about a foot to go for a West Geauga touchdown.
Yeah, there's no question this time you go for 6.
And I believe West Geauga wants a timeout here. They're going to talk it over. Greg Craddock is going to go over to the sideline. Let's give you a time check now. We have 5:09 to play in the ball game. And obviously, as Don Walsh said, you've got to go for the 6 or 7 or 8 down here.
What would you do on the extra point? I'd go for the kick and go for the 2 points the next time. Would you take the 2-point attempt this time?
I think I'd do the same thing you'd do in that situation, John. I think I'd kick the extra point after this touchdown and wait for the 2nd touchdown and try the 2.
No, I disagree. I'd go for the 8 points. Then when I have the opportunity to score the next touchdown, if I've made the 8 points, I know all I need to do is put a little chip shot field goal over to win it. If I don't make it, then I have the other opportunity to tie the game on the 2nd touchdown running the ball.
Isn't that tie like kissing your sister there, Mick?
Definitely.
Hate to sound like a couple of ex-presidents here noted for changing their minds, but I think I'm starting to change my mind, as a matter of fact. I think I might go with what Mick was saying there. Greg Craddock, let's see whether he got in. And he did. Greg Craddock fought his way through the middle of that line and got in for the score. He didn't have much help from his offensive line either. That was almost all Greg Craddock.
Well, we'll see what pattern of thought Coach Post guy believes in this one. Does he go with the Joe Scarola, who floats from side to side, and Mick Naru's concept, or does he go with the John Walsh one? We'll have to see if he goes for 1 or 2.
Looks like they're going for 1 because Greg Craddock is off the field and Tom Richards is lined up 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and they'll attempt the extra point unless they've got a fake plan here. Mike Mazurko will hold. The ball is down. They're kicking it, and the kick by Tom Richards is up and good. So Richards puts the ball through. It's a 14-7 ball game. 5 minutes and 6 seconds left to play here at West Geauga High School. It's Orange 14, West Geauga 7. And now the pressure shifts to the Orange offense and the West Geauga defense. And meanwhile, it's a good time for me to remind you once again that if you want to sell something and you need to sell something really fast, it is a good idea to call the Geauga Times leader Advisors at 286-6101 or 564-5707. They can help you sell what you need to sell. The Geauga Times leader Advisors. 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times leader, your local newspaper. Deep to receive for Orange on the kickoff from Tom Richards. We're going to have number 27, Jim Romano, and also number 82, and that is Chris Paradise. And the ball comes down. That's not Paradise, that's Ross Berry. Berry comes out to about the 20-yard line, and he's thrown down by a very inspired group of West Geauga special teams players, including number 22, Brett Schultz. who made the initial hit. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our Karen, our self-proclaimed booth bouncer, who has been serving us coffee and taking care of us this evening. Thanks a lot, Karen.
And Karen O'Brattle there deserves all the credit for being so nice to us tonight. The people here at West Geauga High School have been very, very nice and very, very cooperative with us. Everybody here at the school that we've dealt with. Here's a give to number 31, Raines. He gets out to the 25-yard line. Flags are flying, and I would imagine that we will have some kind of a penalty here against the Orange Lions.
Yeah, I think it is, Joe, and this is a critical situation for SU's defense. They've got to force Orange only to have the ball 2 or 3 more plays and get the ball back, hopefully, in good field position. That should give them enough time to march the ball down there and make it interesting, hopefully, on the decision on the extra point.
Okay, they're discussing their options now. The thought is the clock is winding against West Geauga, so they're thinking about doing it. I would take the penalty at this time, though.
Blocking below the waist, a 10-yarder, I would have to take that penalty because even though you're allowing them to run off a little more time, you gain on the field position.
Also, it would have been 2nd and 5 only for the Orange team.
Exactly. They have almost no choice in that situation. Once again, we would like to thank all of the very nice people here at West Geauga High School who've been incredibly helpful to all of us here at Cablevision. Superintendent Robert Gilson, William Pierce, principal of West Geauga High School, Mike Posey, athletic director and head football coach, and all of the other people here at West D, including here's the give to, that is number 24, Jimmy Woody, I think. And Jimmy Woody comes out to about the 16-yard line. And, of course, also our infamous booth bouncer, Karen O'Brattle. They've all been very, very nice to us. They really have, and we appreciate their hospitality and their cooperation. 2nd down, let's call it about 14 yards to go.
That last play was nice by John Quinlan, the West Geauga left side cornerback. It was a counter. He stayed at home and met the runner head on. It was the kind of play you want to see out of your cornerback.
Wide to the left comes Paradise, and Kevin Owen has to keep the ball himself after being unable to hand it off, and the West Geauga defense smothers him at the 17, possibly the 18-yard line. And I believe it was number 57 right there on the play, Daryl Kalura, who's been in on a lot of plays here over the last 2 weeks that we've seen the West Geauga Wolverines.
I tell you, Orange is playing a very, very conservative game right now, just bucking right into the middle of the line, trying to hold on to the ball, keep from the bad turnover, which could hurt them. I don't know if that should be a rationale to do right now. I would try the outside, try to get the 1st down. Use that clock up, because right now the momentum is in West Geauga's favor, and I think their conservative approaches may end up hurting them in the end.
How many times do you see it, guys? You know, a team does very well on offense, opening things up. In the last 10 minutes of the ballgame, they turn conservative and wind up losing the game. 3rd down and about 13. Owen rolling to his right, now under heavy pressure. He's going to be hit and downed at the 17-yard line. Number 56, Jeff Pitcock, the middle linebacker, right in there on the play. West Geauga calls for timeout, and the West Geauga defense definitely did their job, and the West Geauga offense now will have another chance with 2 minutes and 54 seconds to play in the ball game. Once again, a reminder that if you want to start your Sunday morning off with a laugh, read Marilyn Whipsey, only in the Geauga Times-Leader. For 12 weeks of 7-day delivery for $12, call 286-6101 or 564-5707. The Geauga Times-Leader, your local newspaper. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you go for the block in this particular one, or just play the contain and go for the nice run back?
I'd play for the contain because I'd be afraid of a penalty in this situation. They're going to get good field position out of it anyway. And Orange is back pretty far, and if they were up at about the 40, 45-yard line, I'd go after it. But in this particular part of the field, I think I'd kill the block and set up a return.
I'd have to agree with you, Joe. Mick, want to make it unanimous?
Yes, I'll make it unanimous. Yeah, I've got a lot of faith in Julian and Mazurko. They've got a lot of speed, and I I think if Owens kicks another low line driver, they're going to have a good opportunity to really return the ball and set up this last drive for West Geauga.
Mike Mazurko and John Julian are deep at about the 45-yard line of West Geauga, waiting for the punt from Kevin Owen. Owen gets a good snap. He's going to run with the ball. Now he stops and decides to kick it. That was an unusual decision. It's going to be a short kick. Julian is going to have to let it roll 40 down to about the 37-yard line, and Orange got more than they hoped for out of that one. West Geauga will have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 37-yard line after a rather daring but effective move by Kevin Owen.
I'm going to tell you, I think Mr. Owens is a heads-up football player. I don't think that was a fake run or anything off the punt. I think he saw that there was no rush coming in from West Geauga, and he just stalled and bought a few more seconds so his defense could get, his line could get down there and defense the kick.
I think it was a case of that, and the hole outside was open. He seriously was thinking of taking it, but then it sealed down, decided to do a smart thing and kick it away.
Mazurko comes wide left, wide to the right is Quinlan. Greg Craddock to throw under heavy pressure, and he is going to be hit and downed all the way back at the 28-yard line. We have a flag. I think we had a face mask. I think somebody pulled on Craddock's face mask, and that will be a big break for the West Geauga Wolverines.
Yeah, I tell you, I didn't really see the face mask infraction on that one. Oh, well, I guess Joe saw the right thing, though. It is a face mask.
That's what it was. Somebody grabbed Craddock's face mask, in fact, while he was down on the ground. A very, very stupid penalty, and the Orange Lions will pay the price.
The old San Martigliano self-inflicted wound striking again.
It sure is, and that's a 15-yard self-inflicted wound after a 9-yard loss on a sack, and instead of 2nd down and 19 for West G back at about the 28-yard line, it'll be 1st and 10 up at the 42. 2 minutes and 18 seconds to play in the ball game. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. Wide to the right is Quinlan. Tight to the right is Blasey. Julian rolling to his right under heavy pressure, gets away from one blitzing man, fires upfield. It's caught by Blasey at the 49-yard line. He picks up about 7 yards. It'll be good for a 1st down. 1st and 10 for West G at the West G 49-yard line.
It's a nice play again by Greg Craddock rolling out. Orange is doing a beautiful job right now putting pressure on the quarterback, and the best way to start it offsetting that is run a few draw plays, maybe a screen here and there. So we'll have to see if West Geauga picks up on that.
1st down for West G at the 49. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Rolling to his left is Greg Craddock. Under heavy pressure, steps up, fires. It's caught by Quinlan. He's thrown down by number 22 of the Orange Lions, Kevin Owen, there at the 36-yard line. But it's good for 15 yards and another West Geauga 1st down.
I'll tell you, that was a nice block tackle made by linebacker Joe Cohen, who is really a good, solid hitter for this Orange defense.
The clock continues to run. We have 1:36 and counting left in the ball game as West Geauga breaks the huddle. 1st and 10 at the Orange 36-yard line. 14-7, Orange in the lead. Wide to the right comes Sterlikar, and motion right is Quinlan. Tight to the left is Blasey. The give is to John Julian. I believe there's a fumble, and who has it? Orange has it. A botched handoff. Julian never got the ball, and Orange recovers the fumble, and once again, with a nice drive going, the West Geauga offense self-destructs, and a very promising drive comes to an end.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. It seems the quarterback made the handoff way too high, bumped into the shoulder pads of the player rather than putting it into the soft stomach pocket, and that's what you end up with when you hit a hard surface like that on a handoff, is a coughed-up ball.
Well, one of the Orange partisans here told me at halftime that last week against the Grand Falls they won everything but the score on the scoreboard. Well, tonight they've had that situation reversed, because tonight they've lost everything but the score on the scoreboard, and it looks like they're going to win this ball game the way things are going right now. Mike Poe's guys, West Geauga Wolverines, asked for a timeout here. They're second. They have one remaining. And let's see, we have 56 seconds to play in the ball game. Things do not look good for the West Geauga Wolverines.
definitely tough for the Wolverines. They played a good game from the 20 to 20. Unfortunately, once it was time to get in and put some points on the board, again, the phrase self-destruct is appropriate. On that fumble, one thing I noticed too on the quarterback was it was a reverse pivot handoff. Those are really difficult because the quarterback's turning his back actually to the receiver he's going to hand off to, and a lot of times that's hard to get the ball right into the runner's stomach. It's tough play at that situation.
Two big touchdown runs by Kevin Owen in the first quarter, and now Owen takes the ball back and falls on it. West Geauga with one timeout remaining. See whether they use it now or use it after the third down play if there's much time left at all. The clock is continuing to run, of course, and we're down to 38 seconds and counting. Orange has the ball third down and about 11 yards to go at their own 31. West G with one timeout remaining. They may get one final shot here before the game comes to an end, possibly. Third down and 11. Once again, Kevin Owen drops back and falls on the ball, and this time, I'm sure West Geauga will use their final timeout with fourth down coming. And they do use it. West Geauga calls for time. Oh, no, that's not it. That's the end of the ball game. Guess they didn't have any timeouts remaining. That's the end of the game here at West Geauga High School, and the West Geauga Wolverines, in spite of the fact that they pretty much controlled the ball game from start to finish, wind up 14-7 losers tonight to the Orange Lions. West Geauga falls to 1-5 overall. They're 0-3 in the CBC. Orange is now 3-3 overall. They're 1-2 in the CBC. They keep their hopes alive. For the West Geauga Wolverines, this is a big, big defeat. Might spell the end of any aspirations that they had this year for a CBC title.
Okay, recapping the Orange team tonight. Always seem to be having a little problem on the field. It's unfortunate to end a game like this. We hate to see this sort of thing. Anyhow, as far as the Orange team tonight, they started out very, very impressive, living off of quarterback Owen. Unfortunately, they just kind of after that changed their game plan, went into a conservative approach, which ended up working to their advantage tonight. Normally, I don't think that's a good approach. They're going to run up against other CBC teams that just are going to keep coming at them and stuff, and I think they're going to end up running into problems like that. You got to play 4 quarters of football in CBC. Overall, though, I think they showed a lot of promise. They got to show up on their defense a little bit. Their offense, for some reason, was flat, short of the play of quarterback Kevin Owen. And I expect them to give some problems to other CBC teams this year. What do you think of West Geauga, Mitch?
Well, all I can do is offer some consolatory comments to West Geauga. I think they got a fine ball club.